You love to play games. If you're a subscriber to the PlayStation Underground CD magazine, you also get to help us make one. It's a mini-game called Project Wormhole. Race a futuristic car down a tunnel and dodge enemies and obstacles. Over 4 issues, we've been showing subscribers how it comes together. See how the car is built. Test it hands-on. Watch the tunnel come together. Use our tunnel editor to make sections of your own. Learn how the vehicle gets put into motion and detects collisions. And check out the basics of artificial intelligence and sound effects. Viewers have been sending in suggestions for the game as it's built to www.playstation.com. If we like an idea and use it, that subscriber's name might just end up in the credits. This is a hands-on introduction to building a mini-game, something no other magazine can do. It's the kind of insider experience available only on PlayStation Underground CD magazine, the magazine you play. Give us a call and get connected. You love to play games, now help us make one from scratch. Welcome to the first of a 4-part series on the making of a game called Wormhole.
We're really excited about Project Wormhole. It's something that we came up with to give the subscribers of PlayStation Underground sort of an idea of what goes into developing a game step by step. Another cool thing about Project Wormhole is that we want these subscribers to become involved, to send in your suggestions, and if we like them, then you just might end up seeing your name in the credits.
In the next few minutes, you'll be introduced to some game and 3D design fundamentals. Over the next 3 issues, we'll build a working game together, inviting your suggestions by email. Let's talk about design. If we were building a full game, we'd need to start with a detailed design document spelling out every character, level, and enemy. That's because regular development typically takes dozens of specialists over a year and costs $1 million or more. We'll make a mini-game instead, so you can quickly see important fundamentals. Here's our concept. Wormhole will put you behind the wheel of a futuristic vehicle, plunging down a tunnel filled with deadly enemies and obstacles. Dodge them while driving on the floor, walls, and ceiling. Blast your way with high-powered guns or die trying. Let's take a look at how to start building our game in 3D. This car will be our main character. Here it is on your TV screen. How does PlayStation generate it? Let's start from the ground up. Space in 3D is defined by X, Y, and Z coordinates. They describe a point called a vertex. Link 3 vertices or more, and you get a polygon. The most basic polygon goes by the highly technical name, triangle. Almost any object in a game is made up of hundreds or even thousands of polygons. They're the building blocks of 3D. We can fill the polygons with solid colors. That's one of several ways to draw them. Another way is to add rich detail by taking a picture of a texture and stretching it over the polygon. This is called texture mapping. Each vertex of the polygon has information about what part of the picture or texture is connected. Modify these values and the texture map can be made to fit just right. Here's the car with all textures applied, ready to rip. Next issue, we'll tweak the car. What colors and textures should it have? What kind of weapons? Send us suggestions on any aspect of Wormhole. You can be a part of a discussion of Wormhole at www.playstation.com. And if you send us comments we like, your name just might end up in the game's credits. Next issue, we'll build a special animated world for your driving pleasure. It will be waiting behind these doors. Welcome to Project Wormhole, Part 2. Last issue, we learned how game objects are created and brought into the game environment. Now it's time to create an environment for our objects. Wormhole will take place in a tunnel filled with obstacles. We'll draw the tunnel using texture map polygons, just like any other object in the game. Most game objects are small enough that you can see them all at once, but the tunnel is far too large for that. We need to break it up into manageable sections so that we only draw the part that is in view at any given time. This makes the representation of the track very small. We only need to store an ID number for each successive section and can make very long tracks without taking up too much memory. Also, how will we generate different levels in the game? One solution is to make prefab sections of the tunnel and then join them together to form a continuous track. Our world design problem has now been reduced to settling on the properties of each tube section. Now, let's plan camera control. As the car flies down the tunnel, we'll have the camera move with it so we can see what's happening. We want to be able to switch camera angles on the fly. We'll have a fixed camera that follows the car but always stays upright, a view from the driver's seat, and possibly others. This completes our look at constructing a world. Check out the tunnel we've built, then preview Part 3. Next issue, we'll look into the physics of how objects move in the tunnel and what to do when objects collide. Don't forget you can join the Project Wormhole discussion in the PlayStation Underground forums at www.playstation.com. Post your ideas for the game there. If we like your ideas and use them, your name just might end up in the game's credits. Welcome to Part 3 of Project Wormhole, How a Game is Made. This issue we're going to work on game physics and obstacles. Now that we have a tunnel to fly down, things will start to get interesting. Last issue, the car flew straight down the middle of the tunnel. That's fine for just checking it out. But in the finished game, we want to be able to fly and dodge obstacles realistically. We need to consider all the different forces acting on the car as it flies down the tunnel. There is the force of gravity pulling it down, the force of jets on its bottom keeping it off the ground, drag forces from the air in the tunnel, and forces from jets used by the player to control the car. We add all of these forces up to figure out how the car is moving. That's a lot of number crunching, but the extra attention to detail makes the gameplay feel as real as possible. Let's draw obstacles. They're made just like we made the car in Part 1. We've already done most of the work for this. The tricky part is knowing when we've run into something. It's too slow to look at every polygon and every object to see if they've collided, so we create an imaginary box around each object just big enough to contain it. These are called bounding boxes. We can use them to quickly see if two objects have run into each other. Now that the obstacles are floating in front of us, it's time to blow them apart. We'll make a basic weapon as a placeholder. A laser cannon that shoots bolts of energy in a straight line. More weapons will be added later. In the next section, try out some of the things we just built. Then check out the preview of Wormhole Part 4. And don't forget to visit www.playstation.com where you can join in a discussion of the game at PlayStation Underground online. In Part 4 of Project Wormhole, we'll look into artificial intelligence, or how enemies are plotting to destroy you. We'll also add sound effects. Don't go away, the fun is just beginning. Welcome to Part 4 of Project Wormhole. Watch out, because in this issue, we'll add some intelligent enemies to the tunnel. We'll make some that fly down the center of the tunnel and try to ram your ship. The tricky part is that they need to avoid running into each other and the other obstacles in the tunnel at the same time. To accomplish this, the artificial intelligence, or AI, responsible for driving the enemy craft, needs to try to estimate where your ship is going to be and plot an intercept course. To do this, the AI draws an imaginary line from where it is to where you are going to be. It adjusts this line to avoid any obstacles in the way and then tries to steer itself onto the line. With all of these enemy ships trying to hunt you down, things are going to get pretty tough in there. So to be fair, we will finally be adding some guns to your ship. The first weapons we'll add will probably be some tunnel-following missiles. You can fire these and they will travel along the tunnel without any guidance until they run into something. Hundreds of you have sent in suggestions for Wormhole and we're incredibly impressed. This was going to be the last installment on making the game, but there's so much interest we've decided to make it an ongoing series. Next issue, we'll be adding some flashy explosions and other special effects, polishing up the look. We'll also add some new weapons and enemies, so keep the ideas coming. You can see a beginning selection of people's ideas for Wormhole by visiting www.playstation.com and choosing PlayStation Underground online. Post your own ideas there or mail them to us at this address. Wormhole is a team effort. Let us know what you think. Welcome to Part 5 of Project Wormhole. In this issue, we introduce new weapon and enemy types, as well as a brand new car. In response to popular demand, we have added support for the DualShock analog controller and enhanced sound effects. We also added some special effects to improve the look of the game. These included some nice-looking explosions and weapon effects. Those tiny missiles from the last issue sure were hard to see, so we attached some smoke trails to help them stand out. We use a series of translucent sprites to draw the smoke. A sprite is a two-dimensional image that we create ahead of time in a graphics program on a PC. To make it look like real smoke and fire, it should be translucent. We want to be able to see through it at least a little bit. We use the same thing for the explosion so you can see how it looks. Creating good special effects takes a careful combination of programming and art. In the next section, check out some of the things we created, then preview what will happen in Wormhole Part 6.
Prepare yourself.
Next issue, Project Wormhole continues as we look at adding articulated objects to our world. Keep your ideas coming on how to make our minigame great. See what other people are suggesting by visiting www.playstation.com and choosing PlayStation Underground online. Post your own ideas there or mail them to us at this address. Wormhole is a team effort and we want to know what you think. Come build a mini-game with us in Project Wormhole, a special PlayStation Underground series that explores some basics of game development. In Part 6 of Project Wormhole, we've added the ability to include animated enemies in our world. There are lots of different ways to animate models. Most rely on something called keyframes. It would take too much memory to store information about every possible position the model could be in, so instead we store only a few of the most important frames. To animate a person jumping up and down, for example, there could be keyframes of the person standing, crouching down, at the top of the jump, and landing. In reality, there'll be quite a few more keyframes than that, but there will still be gaps between them that need to be filled for the motion to look smooth. A process called interpolation is used to fill in the gaps. The program looks at the two keyframes before and after the current frame and calculates a position part of the way between the two. The two most commonly used methods of animation are called vertex animation and bone animation. In vertex animation, the location of every vertex in the model is stored for each key frame. This is easy for the program to work with, and just about anything is possible, but it uses a lot of memory, and there needs to be a separate animation for each model. Bones-based animation relies on an imaginary skeleton beneath the skin of the model. The animation data holds information about the joints in the skeleton, and the program knows how to move the vertices of the model around to keep them attached. It is even possible to use the same data to animate different models, as long as they have the same joints. Next issue, we add a level editor to Project Wormhole that gives you more power in level design, and we talk about what makes a good level. Keep your ideas coming on improving our mini-game. To see what other people are suggesting, go to www.playstation.com and choose PlayStation Underground online. Post your own ideas there or mail them to us at this address. Wormhole is a team effort and we're waiting for your thoughts.
Welcome to Part 7 of Project Wormhole. In this issue, we've added an editor, enabling you to design, build, and play your own levels. In just about any game project, there will be a lot of work that needs to be done that will never be seen by the players of the game. All of the data for the game needs to be created somehow, and the creation of custom tools is often required. One of the most commonly created tools is a level editor. The level editor we created for Wormhole runs on the PlayStation, making it easy to see what the level you are working on will play like in the game. This also makes it possible for anyone with a PlayStation to make levels, so give it a try. It isn't easy to make a good level, so here are a few pieces of advice. The editor has a lot of different controls, so look over the control screens carefully before you start. It may be helpful to write some of them down, or go to www.playstation.com/wormhole for a more detailed description. Don't try to put too many enemies or obstacles in one place. Not only is this hard to survive in the game, but it can also cause the program to slow down. Be careful with sharp turns. It is hard to see around a sharp corner, and if there are any obstacles right after the sharp corner, the level might be too hard. Remember to put in health and ammo, but not too much. You'll probably need to test play your level a few times before you find the right balance. Save your work often. Nothing is worse than working on something for hours only to lose it all when the power goes out.
Next issue is the last installment of Wormhole, and we'll finally put all the pieces together into a finished product. Thanks for all of your great suggestions. Wormhole couldn't have been such a success without all of your help. If you have made a level that you think belongs in the finished game, check out www.playstation.com/wormhole for information on how to submit it.